Good evening. You're watching the news from the Sultanate of Oman television. First, the headlines. Upon royal orders, the State Council will conclude tomorrow the third regular session of the 8th term. The trade balance of the Sultanate of Oman recorded a surplus of more than 2 billion Omani riyals by the end of the first quarter of this year. A package of quality investment opportunities offered in the healthcare sector with an estimated investment value of 16 million Omani riyals. And Washington demands that Tehran pledge not to target commercial ships, while Iran maintains that it remains committed to the obligations outlined in the Memorandum of Understanding. Welcome to our news center. Those were the headlines, and now for the news in detail. Upon royal orders of His Majesty Sultan Haytham bin Tariq, the State Council will conclude its third regular session of the 8th term tomorrow in accordance with Article 41 of the Law of the Council of Oman. The Council's work during this session has been a continuation of the approach established by the wise leadership of His Majesty the Sultan, which is based on developing institutional performance, enhancing the efficiency of legislation and public policies, and consolidating integration among state institutions in a way that serves the national interest. The Council continued to exercise its national powers stipulated in the Basic Law of the State and the Law of the Council of Oman by studying draft laws, development plans and programs, preparing specialized studies, and giving opinions on matters referred to it in a way that strengthens the national legislative system, supports the comprehensive development process, and keeps pace with the objectives of Oman Vision 2040. Cooperation avenues in housing, urban planning, real estate, investment and business expansion between the Sultanate of Oman and the Republic of Turkey were discussed by His Excellency Dr. Khalfan bin Saeed al-Shaili, Minister of Housing and Urban Planning, with government officials and representatives of the real estate sector in Turkey. The meetings focused on reviewing investment opportunities offered by the Sultanate of Oman in the real estate sector, particularly in future cities and integrated residential neighborhoods, and introducing the incentives and legislation governing investment. They also discussed the participation of Turkish companies in project implementation, the transfer of expertise in real estate development, modern construction technologies, and digital transformation. The Sultanate of Oman's trade balance recorded a surplus of 2.09 billion Omani riyals by the end of April 2026, compared to a surplus of 2.11 billion Omani riyals during the same period in 2025. Preliminary statistics issued by the National Center for Statistics and Information indicated that the total value of Oman's merchandise exports reached 7.6 billion Omani riyals by the end of April 2026, while the value of merchandise imports amounted to 5.5 billion Omani riyals. This contributed to a trade surplus exceeding 2 billion Omani riyals during the first 4 months of the year. Oman's oil and gas exports reached 4.7 billion Omani riyals by the end of April 2026, a decrease of 7.5% compared to the same period of the previous year, when they totaled 5.1 billion Omani riyals. Non-oil exports reached 2.1 billion Omani riyals by the end of April 2026, compared to 2.2 billion Omani riyals during the same period in 2025. The United Arab Emirates topped the list of destinations for Omani non-oil exports with a value of 480 million Omani riyals. Saudi Arabia followed with 233 million Omani riyals, then India with 214 million Omani riyals. The United States and South Korea followed with values of 168 million Omani riyals and 160 million Omani riyals respectively. With a total investment value estimated at approximately 16 million Omani riyals, the Ministry of Commerce, Industry and Investment Promotion announced a package of high-quality investment opportunities in the healthcare sector. The package includes 4 investment opportunities covering the areas of prevention, medical rehabilitation, and medical industries. These include the establishment of an early detection center in the Wilaya of Boshar, as well as the establishment of a specialized rehabilitation hospital in the Governorate of Muscat. The package also includes 2 opportunities in the field of medical industries: the manufacturing of chlorhexidine gluconate liquid in the Salalah-free zone and a factory for manufacturing paraffin-embedded gauze in the Governorate of North al-Batina. This comes as part of a step aimed at attracting quality investments that contribute to the development of health services, the strengthening of medical industries, and supporting the Sultanate of Oman's objectives in building a more efficient and sustainable health system. The total market capitalization of securities listed on the Muscat Stock Exchange, MSX, at the end of last week's trading reached 38.3 billion Omani Riyals, registering weekly gains of more than 1.458 billion Omani Riyals. MSX indices recorded collective gains last week, with the main index closing at 7,644 points, up 69 points. The industrial sector index rose by 107 points, the services sector index by 26 points, and the financial sector index by 14 points. MSX benefited from the optimistic atmosphere following the listing of the Oman India Fertilizer Company, MEFCO. Trading data issued by the Muscat Stock Exchange indicated increased institutional buying of the stock by local and Gulf investment funds and institutions. Trading value remained stable last week at 247.8 million Omani Riyals for the second consecutive week, while the number of executed transactions increased by 21.7%. Kiswahili, one of Africa's most widely spoken languages, is gaining increasing global recognition while continuing to strengthen the centuries-old historical and cultural ties between Oman and the East African coast. More details in the following report.
The 5th commemoration of World Kiswahili Language Day was marked at UNESCO headquarters under the theme Kiswahili for Peace, Solidarity and Global Economic Diplomacy. The event highlighted the language's growing role in promoting dialogue, education, cultural identity, regional integration and international cooperation. The celebration featured exhibitions, panel discussions and cultural performances, bringing together policymakers, educators and cultural leaders from around the world. UNESCO reaffirmed its commitment to Kiswahili, the first African language recognized by the United Nations and now spoken by more than 200 million people. Established in 2021, the annual observance celebrates the language's role in promoting peace, cultural diversity and global understanding. Here in Oman, the occasion also highlights the centuries-old ties with the East African coast, where Arab traders and Omani seafarers contributed to the growth and spread of Kiswahili through trade and cultural exchange. Today, the language is still spoken by thousands in Oman, particularly Oman families who returned from Zanzibar and other parts of East Africa, reflecting the enduring links between Oman and the Swahili coast. These historical and linguistic ties were also highlighted during the recent Second International Al-Istiqama Conference in Mombasa, Kenya, which focused on the Kiswahili language and the historical and cultural links between Oman and the Swahili coast. Speaking to Observer, renowned linguist Professor Ibrahim Noor said centuries of maritime trade fostered deep cultural and linguistic exchanges across the Indian Ocean. He noted that Arab contributed thousands of words to Kiswahili, and while acknowledging its strong Bantu grammatical structure, believes Arabic's influence on the language has been greater than is often recognized, citing historical records including Portuguese chronicles to support his research. Abdullah bin Ahmed al-Rubi'i, Sultanate of Oman Television, Muscat.
On the international front, U.S. media outlets reported that the United States is demanding a statement from Iran, pledging not to target commercial vessels, noting that Iran's failure to issue such a statement will result in sanctions. Earlier, U.S. President Donald Trump confirmed his willingness to hold new talks with Iran, but reiterated that the ceasefire that had been in place since April was over. The U.S. Treasury Department announced new sanctions related to Iran. The department stated that the sanctions targeted individuals linked to Iran's new supreme leader, Mujtaba Khamenei, as well as 13 other individuals and entities. The Treasury Department's Office for Foreign Affairs Asset Control targeted 3 major Iran-based money exchange companies, in addition to several foreign companies. According to the Treasury, these companies transferred billions of dollars annually on behalf of sanctioned Iranian banks. In response to the latest U.S. sanctions, Iranian Foreign Minister Abbas Araghchi affirmed that his country has fulfilled its commitments under the Memorandum of Understanding with the United States. Araghchi stated that Tehran has honored its promises, contrary to the claims of the U.S. Treasury Secretary, who is violating Article 9 of the Memorandum of Understanding. He pointed out that these violations follow other transgressions and missteps committed by the United States. Araghchi emphasized that compliance can only be achieved through mutual agreement between the two sides. Lebanon has stipulated that Israel withdraw from 2 disputed areas in southern Lebanon as a condition for its participation in the negotiations scheduled to take place in Rome next week. The next round of negotiations is set for July 15 and 16, 2 in Rome at Washington's request, although Lebanon has yet to officially confirm its participation. The development comes as Israel continues to violate the ceasefire agreement. 1 person was killed and another injured in 2 drone strikes carried out by Israeli aircraft on the southern city of Nabateeh yesterday. According to Lebanon's national news agency, a young man was killed in a drone strike while riding a motorcycle on the Doha Kfar road. Another person was injured in the same area when a drone strike targeted his car. At least 10 people, including a child, were injured after Russia launched an overnight missile and drone attack on Kiev early today, according to Ukraine's State Emergency Service. Explosions and fires were reported across the capital's Solomensky, Darnetsky, and Dniprovetsky districts. The attack damaged a non-residential building in one district, while smoke was coming from another, and an office building was in flames as a result of the strike. Russia's defense ministry said its forces had targeted drone production facilities in Kiev, as well as the ports of Izmail and Kromorsk in Ukraine's southern Odessa region. Typhoon Bavi, the 9th typhoon of the year, continues to move closer to China's Taiwan island, with wind and rain intensifying in Yilan County in the region's northeast. In Yilan, high winds caused waves to rise as high as 8 meters and ripped off tree branches. The county began experiencing rainfall on Friday afternoon in the Suao area of southeastern Yilan. Maximum gusts are expected to reach 117 kilometers per hour today, with the mountainous areas facing the risk of torrential rain. Today marks the most severe period of the typhoon's impact on the Taiwan region. Most counties and cities across the island, including Yilan, have announced work and class suspensions for the day. Typhoon Bavi has left 36 people injured across Taiwan, forced the evacuation of over 14,000 residents, and caused power outages for nearly 70,000 households. This is the Sultanate of Oman television. Before we end tonight's bulletin, here's a recap of the main points. Upon royal orders, the State Council will conclude tomorrow the 3rd regular session of the 8th term. The trade balance of the Sultanate of Oman recorded a surplus of more than 2 billion Omani riyals by the end of the first quarter of this year. A package of quality investment opportunities is offered in the healthcare sector with an estimated investment value of 16 million Omani riyals. And Washington demands that Tehran pledge not to target commercial ships, while Iran affirms its commitment to the pledges it signed in a memorandum of understanding. With that, we come to the end of tonight's bulletin. From all of us here at the newsroom and the studios, it's good night and stay safe.